your mother. It's time for another episode of Birds with Friends. Just a trio of feathery brethren weathering any season to see the Eagles eat teams like Scrammy's top with cheese. It's Philadelphia. Bo, Sheila, and Zach kicking it. Cooler than 3 penguins till Zach runs off with his valet keys. He's a real nuanced goose. Pull up a branch, get loose. It's time for some juice on some
Birds with Friends.
The early bird gets the worm, but prefers getting turned like a turn on some
Birds with Friends.
Bo, Sheila, and Zach coming at you with stats and things, flapping their wings on.
It's Tuesday meeting after they win by 36. Why didn't we? They ran for 350. Howie, he was inactive. I don't give a... Hello, everybody. Great job by Marissa pulling out that intro as a callback to the last game between the Eagles and the Giants. But this time, things turned out differently. Despite a putrid first half from the Eagles offense, they take down Jake Fromm, Mike Glennon, and the lowly New York Football Giants 34-10. They move to 8-7 on the season. They are officially officially in the playoffs where the season to end today. They are in possession of a wild card spot. They control their own destiny, as it were. They could potentially even clinch a playoff spot as soon as next week if 3 things go their way. We are here to talk about it all with Zach Berman, Marissa Morris. Zach, everybody wants to know. How you doing?
Doing well. I was going to reference Chip Kelly in that you cannot control your own destiny because destiny is predetermined, thus it cannot be controlled. But I think everyone understands what you mean by the expression.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about your favorite football team, and you're bringing up Chip, so this is really you're hitting all the beats.
Yeah, playing the hits tonight, right?
Yeah, which I believe you did a little bit late night last night, or I guess was it 2 nights ago that you were really playing the hits for yourself.
Yeah, I will. I'll confess to that. My wife and kids are out of town. I had the house to myself, and so Bo joked to me that
you've already exhausted all that you could possibly get out of Saban and Belichick, and so you turned to.
I watched the Tom Brady documentary. It kept me up for a while. I watched like 4 episodes of Man in the Arena,
a little one-man party,
and yeah, I was really enjoying it. I did not have any work that night. Had a lot of so had a lot of time on my hands, and I dug right into that documentary.
I bet you did. You sick man. Okay. Well, we've got plenty to get to. What is your number one prevailing thought coming out of this game, Zach?
They won the game, right? Which sounds like, oh, well, that's obvious, but no, it's not obvious in that. They played 2 games in 5 days here, and they won both of them. They needed to take care of business. They did. Like you said, now they're in position where the playoffs are a realistic possibility. I just saw on the NBC halftime show, they had the Eagles have a 51% chance.
Kornacki is like such a low rate budget version of Dennis. I mean, what are we doing here? Like,
no, but they have the percentage.
Kornacki couldn't calculate Dennis's jock.
So, but to take it a step further, there were a few things that jumped out. I would say Jalen Hurts not running at all. Right, had 2 carries. I looked it up.
I think it's a really important thing to monitor.
The last time he had 2 carries in a game he started was Mercer in 2017, Alabama Mercer in 2017.
You probably watched that game.
I don't know if that one was on. And so you have to assume that they're either being cautious with the ankle or that the ankle's really bothering him. And perhaps it was the second game in a truncated period here because he did run a bit the other day. But so that jumped out, and he was bad passing the ball in the first half.
I tracked the like planned quarterback runs. So his 2 runs were both called quarterback runs, which means he didn't scramble a single time and run. And I think there's no doubt that like this is a real thing right now. Whether it changes with another week of recovery and he can move around a little bit better is an important question. it's also why, like, if they could potentially clinch a playoff spot next week, then you get another week's rest. And then you can actually lean on the Jalen Hurts running game in the playoffs. If we can really get ahead of ourselves, things change a little bit.
Exactly. And so we'll get more into the other stuff that happened in the game. But for me, the big takeaway is that they're 8-7 and the playoffs are within reach. And it's not theoretical. It's not they need X, Y, and Z to happen. No, it's if they win their games, they're in. And like you tweeted out earlier, they also could clinch next week in a very plausible way as well. So I think we need to be talking about the Eagles like they're going to the playoffs.
Let's get into we can go through the nitty gritty of the details here. So right now, according to 538, at 8-7, the Eagles have a 58% chance to make the playoffs. As we said, they control their own fate. If they win these next two games, they will be in the playoffs. They will. I guess it's not. That's not. Oh, yes, they will be in the playoffs if they win the next two games. If they beat Washington and lose to Dallas, it drops to 68%, and you would still need at least one Vikings loss and I think one Saints loss. The sequence for getting into the playoffs next week is very, very plausible. It's they beat Washington, who, as we see, has given up 42 points in the first half to the Dallas Cowboys and are swinging at each other on the sidelines. They get that result. If the Vikings lose to the Packers next week, and also the result of tonight's game is probably a good news thing for the Packers, because if the Cowboys win, the Packers still need to keep winning to try to fight for that number one seed. And then the other thing, the number three thing, is either the Saints need to lose next week to the Carolina Panthers, who have been awful, or both of the following two things have to happen. The Saints have to lose tomorrow night to the Miami Dolphins, and then the 49ers need to beat the Texans next week. All very, very realistic things.
Exactly. And that's why I said we need to be thinking like this is a playoff team. And if they don't make the playoffs, I think it's fair to say it's a disappointment at this point.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, the only way, if they win next week and then lose in week 18 to Dallas and somehow don't make it because the Vikings beat the Packers and then win their last game, that's maybe a little bit more defensible. But they're in position. They should make the playoffs. And listen, is it true that the quarterbacks that they have won and turning this season around from being down 2-5 are, Garrett Gilbert and Jake Fromm and Trevor Siemian and Teddy Bridgewater and all these like mediocre at best quarterbacks? Sure, that's true. But like the mark of a good team is beating up on bad teams, and they have beat up on bad teams just by like down the middle point differential. They've got the 10th best point differential in the entire league. They're playing like they're doing what they can do. That first half was an abomination. We can get into that, but big picture, Nick Sirianni has gotten the most out of this roster. They have leaned on their strengths, and I think like there's no doubt that they deserve to be a playoff team if they win these next two games, and if they win next week too. I would imagine. Yes,
I hear you about the quarterbacks. I view it two ways. First off, I know it's a discussion point about this defense. Well, yeah, they're beating up on Jake Fromm. They're beating up on Garrett Gilbert, and I get that. The flip side is that if you're gonna dock them points for that, if you will, then you need to acknowledge it was Tom Brady, and it was it was the top of the league quarterbacks who were beating them up outside of Derek Carr, really.
Yeah.
I mean, all the guys were like top Pro Bowl player quarterbacks. The other thing I would say is not every team holds serve. And the
Eagles didn't against the Giants.
Exactly.
4 weeks ago.
It's not played in a simulation, right? These guys are still out there. They're tired. I might be making too much of it. I acknowledge it, but they had a weird week where they practiced one day this week. They had a walkthrough another day. They had there's Christmas thrown in. Like these guys have real lives. It's not like and their head coach was in a hotel room. So they did not have
where he was wishing you a Merry Christmas, which
So-
we found enjoyable.
So they did not have a traditional week. And of the three of us, Marissa can attest to this the most. It's hard for these guys to play on Tuesday night and come around on Sunday and play another game. And even though Nick Sirianni didn't use that as an excuse, Jordan Mailata, who's actually out there on the field, he said, like, in the first half, they were feeling the effects of the quick turnaround.
There's people just yelling at each other all over the place in this Cowboys Washington game. Yes, as you said, it was a weird week. They deserve credit for getting through it. I mean, short turnarounds happen. Usually both teams have the short turnaround on a Sunday to Thursday, right? The Giants didn't. Now the Giants are, we can also talk about, I mean, just as lowly as it gets. In your time covering the NFL, Zach, where would you say Jake Fromm ranks on the worst quarterbacks you've ever seen live?
Well, there was DiNucci and Luke Falk last year.
I think DiNucci's better because DiNucci was fun at least. DiNucci was like running around and doing some like weird arm angle stuff.
So
Fromm is awful. Luke Falk is probably number one for me, but Fromm is I think might be number two.
Fromm was really bad, and like the Freddie Kitchens offense didn't help at all. They had, I thought, the best chance for the Giants to like really gain momentum is they had a drive that started on the Eagles 48. Or I'm sorry, the Giants 48 in the first half. At that point, it's a 0-0 game, and they run 3 times and go 3 and out. Right? Like they just. I mean,
Joe Judge was desperate to punt in this game. He was like, it was like his kink was punting.
Well, so his opening statement after the game was about how they spoiled this great film, this great,
and their punter's awful.
Teams. Hey,
their punter was really bad. He's like the Jake Fromm of punters.
I mean, I'll just say, I know we're not a Giants podcast. It's hard to build a roster that bad when you have that many high draft picks and that much cap space.
And as Sheila's pointed out, over the last 5 years, they are tied with the Jets for the worst record in the entire league. It's pathetic.
Yeah,
they're awful. And and this morning, Schefter reports that they're going to bring back Judge and Jones.
I mean, for all the crap, if you will, that Howie Roseman gets, and look, for full disclosure, we've written a lot of critical pieces in the Eagles. Now they did have a bad year last year, like a really bad year. They were a 4-win team, right? There's no getting around that. They went 4-11-1. That is bad. But this year, in what's supposed to be a transition year, right? They are right in the mix of the playoffs, and they like have pieces on their team. That Giants team,
and yet Zach, well, go ahead.
I know they have 2 first-rounders next year, but if you're a prospective, GM or head coach, there aren't a lot of building blocks on that roster.
Well, yeah, but you're the one who, of all people, Zach, is going to point to the paragon of class in that organization and how there's no better run place than the New York Football Giants, while the Eagles are a dumpster fire inside.
Look, like we were ripping on Joe Judge, but I saw the New York Daily News piece by Pat Leonard, I believe, that they pulled $200,000 for employees in the organization, cafeteria workers, equipment managers, PR staff, like as tips. That's a real classy
legal support team, maybe.
That's a real classy gesture, like that. It's especially the holiday season, that goes a long way. So that's a classy thing.
That's a nice thing to do.
Exactly.
It's a nice thing to do. I don't know that they needed to seek out publicity for it.
I mean, I don't know if they sought it out.
I like Pat Leonard, so I'll give him credit for maybe like really digging and scooping that, as opposed to, John Mara texting it around saying like, "Look at what we did."
Yeah, I don't think it was the latter, but who knows? Anyways, about the Eagles Giants,
they suck. That's a terrible organization.
Yeah. Giants are it's a terrible team. Yeah, it's a bad team. bad team.
It's a terrible organization. 5 years in a row, Zach.
Oh, I'm not defending them. It's a bad team.
Okay. Let's talk about that first half because it was really, really bad. I mean, we know that the Eagles are coming into this game knowing that everything is ahead of them, knowing that they want to avenge what was a very ugly loss to the Giants 3 or 4 weeks ago, knowing that they're playing Jake Fromm, and yet they come out just looking awful. First drive, 3 and out, should have been an interception on third down when Jalen Hurts makes a terrible decision, rolling to his right, trying to force it to Dallas Goedert. Should have been picked, was overturned because the ball hit the ground. Next drive, 4 plays, got 1 first down, punted it away. Next drive, 3 and out. Next drive, 5 plays, gained 18 yards. Actually, only 8 yards after a penalty. 1 first down, punted away. Awful. Next, and Jalen Hurts looked so bad in the beginning of this game. And I know that people were saying he threw those 3 interceptions against the Giants. It's like a Giants thing. But even in that first Giants game, like in the beginning of this game, he looked so much more uncomfortable in the pocket than I can remember seeing him in a very long time. Even against the Giants, he was not jittery in the pocket like he was in the beginning of this game. Like you could tell that he was just very slow to process in the first half. I don't know how much the legs are affecting that, like it's affecting his decision making, but it was really concerning. And if they were playing a team with any semblance of an offense on the other side, they would have been down. They would have been down a lot of points. Anyway, 5th possession, they gain 53 yards, miss a field goal, much to your chagrin. Which we can get to later.
That is true.
And then eventually they get a field goal at the end of the half after gaining 56 yards. It was really bad. And to be tied 3-3 at halftime against Jake Fromm is almost as bad as that Raiders game in terms of level of performance.
Yeah, a few things. I'm not I'll start with Hurts. He was careless with the ball. That's what was problematic to me. And he had the fumble
that was
week
really
ago
bad,
where Sirianni said as he was coming off the field that he was careless with the ball. Well, today I thought that first, between the fumble that he had that they
fumble
recovered,
was really bad.
The near interception was just careless. Like that is inexcusable. And the win makes it so it's not such a big deal, but they're not going to
they fumble away the opening kickoff. I mean,
exactly. I thought they were just careless overall in that first half. And then also, I'm not a run the ball guy, but I do think they got too pass happy in the first half as well. And I know you pointed out that when they did have that drive where they ran the ball 2 straight times, it didn't work. But the best thing they had going in the first half was Miles Sanders' runs.
Yeah, I mean, I think the leaning on the run thing is it plays out over the course of a game. It's hard to really get on them like 2 possessions into the game. It's more of like if you run the ball enough with this offensive line, it's going to be successful, and like you're putting in the investment for things to pay off as the game goes on. I don't. Like the opening drive, it's like, okay, well, you didn't run the ball, but that's fine. I think they called RPOs on those first 2 plays, and he correctly threw the ball. So I don't know. It's a little unfair when the sample size is so small. But then, like once you get going, then yeah, they should have been running the ball more.
Yep.
God, Heineke's so bad. Okay. Do you want to keep talking about the first half, or do you want to talk about turning things around in the second half? Because we'll save the defense for like its own conversation, I guess.
Okay. But. Yeah. And I mean, we can go like throughout the first half, but overall, I thought coaching staff, players, I thought the offensive line was fine. Actually, I didn't think the offensive line was horrible in the first half. I thought quarterbacks and coaches were the quarterback and the coaches were the issue there.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't like the game plan early on, as you said. So first half, Hurts's numbers were 7 for 17 for 94 yards. 1 sack. Again, should have been an interception, should have been a fumble. Otherwise, his numbers would have been even worse. But he ends up finishing the game with 17 of 29 for 199 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a long of 46. And as you said, 2 carries for 7 yards, which was the thing that really jumped out. Miles Sanders leaves this game with a hand injury and does not return. I saw on NBC, Mike Florio was reporting something about an evaluation for tomorrow, but I didn't get to the end of what his report was. I lost my attention span, so I don't know what it was.
Is there a joke there, or is there?
Yeah, it's just like when he's talking, I who can listen to a segment who has the attention span these days to make it through an entire sentence
okay, I
on
see what
TV.
you're saying because of he referenced the length of our article back in April. Okay.
Who has time? Who has time to sit there and watch Mike Florio talk?
So it's been
It's my job to know what he's trying to report, and I can't even make it through. These days, there's too much going on. I don't have time for that. And I don't really believe that anybody does. I feel like people are lying if they say they sat there and watched that whole segment.
I didn't see the segment, so.
Well, I didn't finish it.
Okay.
So yeah, Jordan Howard also left this game.
Stinger.
Those are tough. And then once you sting someone, then it gets removed. And you die. It's a little B joke for you.
So their running game would be down if Sanders misses some time and if Howard's not back with the stinger. They're down to Boston Scott, Kenny Gainwell, and I assume Jason Huntley gets the nod at that point. But that really hinders what has been a strength of yours.
And yet I think they'd be fine.
Because
if they have to give Boston Scott 25 carries, I think they'll be all right.
I was listening to I don't mean for the aside here. I was listening to Pablo Torre's podcast, The Daily. It's a good podcast.
You've got so many pods, man.
And he had something on. It was like behind the scenes of sports betting. He was interviewing Sam Borden on how they make their line, on how odds makers make their lines. And I bring that up because Dalvin Cook's injury did not affect the line whatsoever. And basically, like, the idea was Vegas doesn't think a running back being in or out of the game should affect like the outcome at all.
Well, Alexander Madison's good too. I mean, he's fine.
But an offensive, the podcast was for like the uninformed basically, and it said if an offensive lineman is out, credit Marissa here, or if a quarterback's out, then that would move a line, but not a running back.
Right, and of course, if it's the Browns, if an offensive lineman's out, it makes the Browns, it gives points in their favor because all of a sudden you get Michael Dunn in the lineup. That's worth a couple points against the spread.
Well, the more Michael Dunn plays,
so good. Oh man, he was so good last night.
He's gonna Wally Pip somebody there.
It was another tough loss, though. That's all he cares about.
It was brutal.
Team guy.
I was so mad about that.
Yeah.
What is Baker doing, man?
But still in it. They're still in it.
I think Zach is rooting for the Packers. Just to be perfectly honest, because he wants them to get the 1 seed.
Well, last night I was rooting for
Eagles
Michael Dunn to do well, but yeah.
Although Zach, that's a dangerous game because if the Eagles then win, down in Tampa or out in Arizona, then they got to go to Green Bay.
Sure. I don't dislike Green Bay. I was just saying if you gave me the option of Green Bay or Tampa on a January weekend, I would take Tampa. I don't think that's a controversial opinion.
You just don't want to be within any kind of proximity to Aaron Rodgers at this point.
No, the ease of travel in the playoffs matters. It's different in the regular season when you can spend a weekend there. Playoffs, short notice. You're dealing with whether you want to get in and out.
Okay. All right. I mean, I really don't think there's that much to talk about the offense. Like they sort of like shook off the cobwebs in the second half. Jalen Hurts still didn't play that great.
Well, the Lane Johnson touchdown we can talk about.
I think we can also talk about like the wide receivers making plays downfield was nice to see. Two long deep balls, one to Devontae Smith, one to Quez Watkins. Quez Watkins has done, like, dating back to the preseason, has shown that he can go up and get those balls in 50-50 situations. I would like to see them give him more opportunities.
I agree
to do that. And Devontae made a really nice play on that ball too. I actually thought that was a pretty good throw from Jalen Hurts, like arm strength wise, because he did not have a chance to like load up for it. It was just off his back foot, and he got it there. So I thought that was good. Obviously, the Devontae Smith touchdown, a fun. This was good. We got to talk about this, Zach, because that led to you getting called on to do your pool reporter duties.
Sure. What do you want to know?
Tell the listeners, tell them everything about this process.
We did this a few years for our listeners. The last time I did this was the Eagles Seattle playoff game when Carson got hit by Clowney, and we wanted to know about that.
Maybe you're going to win an award for this game story too.
I doubt it. Actually, this story's not. This one's not an award winner. But that one, you go down to the referee's locker room, you interview the referee.
What's the referee's locker room like?
I actually met them outside. They came out.
Usually, do you go in if it was non-COVID times?
I think well today it wasn't like that, because today the issue was in New York. New York overturned that call there. So I was on the phone with Walt Anderson from the NFL, and I mean, you asked me what happened here.
I know, but I mean, not everybody gets to get on the phone with WA.
And I asked, 3 questions about the play, and
well, it was very weird. He called it a touchdown. Then they said, upon review, it's incomplete. And then they said, okay, now we're going to take a further look at it.
There was a lapse in communication. Basically, they announced on the field too quickly about the overturn. They had more camera views that they were going to look at, and there was a communication lapse. It was fixed. In any event, it's not a big deal for the Eagles right now, but it was a touchdown for Devontae, a nice pass, a nice catch.
It was fun to see the sausage made on you having to do that, because frankly speaking, like, this game was not a close game and it did not matter to the Giants. So, like, why did their beat writers need to be so aggrieved about that call that they needed to upend your post-game responsibilities? But, you're a man of the people. You do what's asked. You're the pool reporter because you're the most reliable man in the room.
I wouldn't say that, but in a typical situation, you go down, it's all downstairs. So you're in the Eagles press conference room. You scoot right over to the coaches or to the referee's locker room. You ask your few questions, and then you're back. In this situation, had to kind of be in a quiet space to answer my phone. So logistically, it was a little different, but it was no problem. Happy to do it. All worked out. Okay.
Why don't we take a little break to hear from our sponsors? We'll come back on the other side. We'll talk about the Lane Johnson touchdown, first of his career. We'll talk about an impressive defensive performance, even considering the lowly nature of the opposition. And we will get into a little swooper forecasting.
It's the holiday season. You're probably eating good, drinking good, maybe packing on a couple pounds. But, if you're planning for the post-holiday season, or you want to limit your consumption a bit heading into the holiday season, well, you're trying to cut down on carbs, sugar, unhealthy food, do what Harry Potter does. I'm talking about Magic Spoon, because he does magic, you get it? 0 grams of sugar, 13 to 14 grams of protein, and only 4 net grams of carbs in each serving, only 140 calories a serving. It's keto-friendly, it's gluten-free, it's grain-free, it's soy-free, it's low-carb, and you can build your own box. Available flavors to build your very own custom bundle are cocoa, fruity, frosted, peanut butter, blueberry, cinnamon, cookies and cream, and maple waffle. You know how I love that maple waffle. Go to magicspoon.com/birds to grab a custom bundle of cereal and try it today. And be sure to use our promo code BIRDS at checkout to save $5 off your order. Magic Spoon is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 100% happiness guarantee, so if you don't like it for any reason, they will refund your money, no questions asked. Do what Hermione does when she eats her cereal. It's Magic Spoon. Remember, get your next delicious bowl of guilt-free cereal at magicspoon.com/birds and use the code BIRDS to save $5 off. Thank you to Magic Spoon for sponsoring this episode. Does your at-home coffee just not live up to your expectations? Trade can change that. And I'm not talking about sending a 6th-round pick to the Denver Broncos for Kerry Vincent. I'm talking about Trade Coffee. Trade's goal is to make every cup of coffee your best ever. The journey to your perfect cup starts with taking their coffee quiz. You use a French press? Automatic drip? You're a cold brew guy or girl? No problem. Your answers will allow Trade to pair you with a perfect coffee to fit your taste. Trade will match you to coffees you'll love from 400 plus craft coffees and will send you a freshly roasted bag as often as you'd like. Trade guarantees you'll love your first match, and on the off chance you don't, they'll replace it with a different bag, gratis, for free. Give feedback as you sip, and as your preferences evolve, your coffee matches will too. You can feel good about each cup since Trade partners with 55 plus small US-based roasters who are committed to ethical and sustainable sourcing. And then you can personalize this bad boy. Tell us what you like best about the Trade experience, from the quiz to the coffee. We want to hear from you about your experience with Trade. Now, when I say we, I mean Trade Coffee. I'm not an employee of the company. I'm just reading the copy, but we thank them for sponsoring here. For our listeners right now, Trade is offering $20 off your first 3 bags at checkout. To get yours, go to drinktrade.com/BWF and use promo code BWF. Take the quiz to start your journey to the perfect cup. That's drinktrade.com/BWF, promo code BWF for $20 off your first 3 bags. We're not talking about, the game where you toss bags. Some people call it bago. I'm extremely good at it. Cornhole, you know what I'm saying? We're not talking about that. We're talking about 3 bags of coffee. And this holiday season, give the coffee lover in your life the gift of better coffee too, with their own personalized gift coffee subscription from Trade. Enjoy, and you will never beat me in cornhole.
A blocked punt for a touchdown by Corey. Is it Clement or Clement?
It's Clement.
They've been trying to get that right for 6 years. Zach,
by the way, I will say I bet you're very good at all those day drinking games, the cornholes.
I'm very good at cornhole.
Yeah, if you remember it in Madison, you whipped me in Papa Shot.
Well, handsome Rich Hoffman is the best one at Papa Shot. He whipped both Sheila and I, Sheila and me in Minneapolis. So shout out to handsome Rich.
There you go.
But I would beat him in cornhole. Zach, we both, this week we were thinking, okay, we're gonna get the Kevin Patullo show. It's gonna be fun. A little change up. I was thinking I was maybe gonna, for the first time ever, I had an idea for the day after before the game. I told you, which meant I jinxed it. I was gonna write in jest, let's have why Kevin Patullo should be the head coach moving forward, sort of making fun of the quarterback competition or quarterback controversy. But I know you were probably doing advanced work as well. So I'd like to ask you, where did Kevin Patullo meet his wife? Where and how?
I didn't get to that part. That I don't know.
Even though you had extra time at home alone?
I did. I wasn't preparing for. I wasn't doing the feature on Kevin Patullo. Okay. I was doing more the. I wanted to know the mechanics of taking over. Do you coach it the way you want to? Do you coach it the way the head coach does? I would have been fascinated, like a 4th and 2 in that situation. Do you do it the way and how do you prepare for it? And I saw a quote from Dan Lanning, the new coach at Oregon, who he was asked about his lack of head coaching experience. And he mentioned that he coached third grade intramurals one time, and so I wanted to know if
Patullo gave a good answer to your question about this, but it was funny because you started it the same way. You started it like I saw the Oregon coach say this, as if Patullo had also already seen it, like as if he was plugged into that as you.
So it's interesting you say that. I was trying to figure out how to frame the question because I didn't want it to seem like have you ever coached anything in your life, right? Yeah. I was trying to be lighthearted about it, and he said that his daughter's soccer team or something. He might have jumped in, but he usually tries to stay on the side for that. So,
and of course, his daughter, who was birthed by his wife, who he met.
I couldn't tell you.
That's too bad. All right, Zach. Eagles are up 20-7. They get down to the 5-yard line. The referees announce number 68 is no, it's not 68, is it?
68 was last night.
The 68 was last night. Lane Johnson is reporting as eligible.
65. This is his number. Yes.
65 is reporting as eligible, and it was like my ears perk up because usually it's the sixth guy who comes on who reports as eligible. In this case, Brett Toth. So the fact that they were announcing Lane Johnson, your ears perk up a little bit. Apparently, the Giants were not as plugged in as we were in the booth, and the Eagles pull the long-awaited, I would say, play-action touchdown pass to Lane Johnson, the former tight end, former college JUCO quarterback. He catches it. He does a little Lincoln leap, and everybody's very excited. Good stuff.
Is there any story that I can read about his athletic background in?
There is, actually.
Okay.
I think it's a website called, was it The Atlantic?
We really shouldn't mistell or misrepresent our website. The
Just
Athletic
Google Lane Johnson, Kilgore, Bo Wulf.
There you go. By the way, if you
do.
want to, if you don't do that and you want to get to The Athletic, you can subscribe at theathletic.com/birdswithfriends, where now until the end of the year, you can get $24, I believe, for an annual subscription. So
$1 for every number on Jordan Howard's jersey.
So take advantage of that deal if you don't subscribe, and if you do subscribe, we appreciate it.
Did you watch the show 24, Zach?
I did not. I did not. My brothers did. I did not.
I liked it.
Jack Bauer, right? That's who it was.
Yeah. Tony Almeida.
Yeah. I did not watch it. I did watch.
I have a very vivid memory of I guess I would have been in high school, and they had it was the show that was like the hyped show on like football Sundays or whatever on Fox. And you were just inundated with promos, and I was like I don't know about this. And I think it was a Sunday. I think it premiered on like a Sunday night, and I wasn't planning on watching it. And then my dad came in. He was like, "You want to watch 24?" I was like, "All right, let's do it." It was like a little pep in my step. He's asking me to watch this show, a little step up in the ladder. I felt like, and so we watched it.
I watched the first season of Designated Survivor, which was which is the same actor, right? Kiefer Sutherland, right? That's
correct.
Who it is. Okay.
Son of
Am I supposed to
Donald
know that?
Sutherland, of course, one of the greats, one of the all-time greats.
Okay,
very handsome, I would say.
All right.
David Palmer, of course.
All right, let's talk the Lane Johnson.
Dennis Haysbert. Come on, Major League. What are we talking about? All right. Lane Johnson thing. Everybody seemed very excited for him, and it seemed like the Lane Johnson Pro Bowl snub has been an actual talking point and motivating factor for some people this week.
Sure, and look, Lane Johnson's an incredible player, and he had that back in, was it 2017 when he got snubbed and he slept at the facility, right? He didn't go home, slept at the facility, and then the next night he stonewalled. I think it was Mac, right?
Sounds right.
Yeah, I think the Raiders game on Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds familiar.
So yeah,
Okay.
so he's got
East Texas. The play was called East Texas.
Mm-hmm.
I thought you might have more color on this. That you were more excited
I
about
was
it. I don't
from
know. I'm sorry.
you wrote about it. I mean, I can give you
Well,
color
I'm
based on
just
this.
more I'm reading about the offensive line. The
Yeah, but
characters:
that's
Jason Kelsey, Lane Johnson, Jordan
Yeah,
Mailata.
but-
These guys, this team that is testing the thought experiment. How far can a team go on offensive line alone?
I stayed away from that in my story because I know that's in the day after.
Okay.
Yeah,
But
so
I feel like you like a story, a theme, a moment.
Yeah, I thought that was good. I thought
Okay.
first off, there's a lot packed into the feeling good for Lane Johnson. Of course, the Pro Bowl snub makes it timely. It was acknowledged by his teammates. I actually thought Jordan Mailata the other day when he was asked if he felt he was snubbed, and he said he didn't feel like he was as much as Lane Johnson, and that's something that's come up multiple times. But then also there's the is Taylor Heineke hurt?
He just got pounded in the chest.
And then there's obviously everything that Lane has been through this year, and frankly beyond this season, but this year specifically, and you wrote about that after the Detroit game on Halloween, so people can look up Bo Wulf, Lane Johnson, and that's another Lane Johnson piece that will come up. But
day after he could,
day after. But there's a lot that's gone into Lane Johnson's year, and I think for him to get into the end zone, and the play was executed perfectly. Like he was wide open. I would think too. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. If they're announcing 65 is reporting as eligible, you would have
a little alert. Yeah.
Yeah. Keep your eyes on 65. There was that the famous Ravens Patriots sequence where they didn't announce the guy who was eligible, right? And it was the Lane Kiffin play that they ran, and it was back in the playoffs a few years ago.
It was
Seth
cheating.
Wickersham did a great job writing about it in his book. Anyways, I would think that you would have your eyes set on 65. No, 65 was wide open. You described the Lincoln Leap. I'm curious who he got. Now, we did not get a chance to speak to Lane Johnson after the game. I'm curious who he gave the ball to, right? Because he catches his touchdown, and it looked like he just gave it to somebody in the stands.
But then he said in his quotes to the team that they're going to get the ball back. They're going to give that guy something.
Gotcha. All right, good. As they should. I did not see that.
Yeah.
So.
All right, Zach. Let's talk a little bit about the defense. I mean, they were playing a terrible, terrible, terrible offense, but they also through the first 3.5 quarters were holding the Giants to 2 yards per play.
Mm-hmm.
It was ridiculous. It's hard for me to parse, are they any better than they've ever been, or was this just a reflection of a terrible team? I thought the pass rush was a little bit more frisky tonight, or this afternoon than it has been the past couple weeks. Again, a bad offensive line, so that's certainly part of it. But you got to give them credit at least. They basically gave up 3 points when the game was in contention.
Exactly, and the other thing too is they had some short fields early on, and they forced the Giants off the field. I thought that the pass rush was better than it was a week ago. I thought the pass rush should have taken more advantage of Washington a week ago. They were just living in the backfield tonight. They had 2 interceptions. They should have had 3. Darius Slay dropped the easiest one that he could have had all year. So that was
bad.
Yeah, but I thought
brutal for me at one point, but they ended up making it worth it.
But I thought the defense was just really good. And
Rodney Mcleod, how about Rodney Mcleod, who is losing playing time because they continue to rotate Marcus Epps in. It'll usually be McLeod and Anthony Harris for the first 3 series, and then they'll start rotating in Epps for one of the 2 of them. But McLeod, he had the interception on the second play from scrimmage in the second half that sort of basically ended the game, really, frankly. But that was an easy one. But then he made a nice play on Alex Singleton's interception for a touchdown. He broke that up, and it was a good play. Good for him.
Yes. Yeah. And really that play changed the game in that, I mean, perhaps the offensive onslaught was coming regardless, but that gives the offense a short field. What they got at the 21 or so, and they score. It was a 5-play drive. There was the penalty on the Goddard touchdown that got called back, but they had the screen pass to Jordan Howard, and they ran 3 or 4 times. Boston Scott punches it in. The Eagles take a 10-3 lead, never look back. So I thought the interception, second play there, changed the game, right? If the Giants get momentum on that drive, who knows what would have happened?
How about the Nard Dog?
The Nard Dog. Andrew Bernard, who's
Jannard Avery.
Oh, okay. Is that a name for him? Like,
It is now.
Okay. Marissa, did you have any idea what they were talking about?
No, but I call my cousin Nard Dog, so it just made
Wait a
me
second.
think of her.
You're related to Jannard Avery?
No. Her name is Christina. I'm not really sure why we call her Nard Dog, but that's her nickname.
She like Andrew Bernard?
I honestly have no idea how it started, but it's gone on since high school, so Yep.
What's her name? Oh yeah, never mind. Go
Christina.
ahead.
She's a pharmacist.
Yeah.
She's the pharmacist.
Oh, she's the pharmacist.
Yes.
Oh,
Yep.
nice.
Yeah.
Well, now I'm going to go anytime I just go to a CVS pharmacist to purchase 10 items. I'm going to just call them Nard Dog.
Yeah.
Here you go. Bring these up, Nard Dog.
So I have this bad Jannard Avery joke, not a Nard Dog, but a different joke that I have.
Is it off color?
No, I've said it to you a few times, which is that if you remember the Eagles-Bears playoff game when Golden Tate scores the touchdown, the game with the go-ahead touchdown or the game-winning touchdown, and they said on the telecast, this makes the trade worth it right here, right? And so every time Jannard Avery makes a play, I just always think that the broadcasters are saying, and this makes the trade worth it right here. Like that a play in an Eagles-Giants game when he
Yes.
he
got the pressure. He got the pressure on the McLeod interception.
Yes.
Now it looked like it could have been called for hands to the face. He did hit Jake Fromm right in the choppers, but then he also, I would say, like the kind of play that maybe Saquon Barkley should just retire when he sort of caught Saquon Barkley from behind. I mean, never has it been more clear that the guy is totally cooked.
I mean, Saquon's such a joy to watch that I just hope it just took him a little more time to get back from the injury, and next year he looks like Saquon, because just from a football watching perspective, he's a special player. So, but yeah,
Saquon or Nard Dog.
Saquon. My favorite Jannard Avery play of the year was last week when he jumped the snap and we were all convinced he was offsides. Yeah. I say last week, it was Tuesday night. Right. And he's like, he's definitely offsides. Yeah. But
yeah. And the Washington beat writers were complaining about it for 10 minutes. Like, just would not stop. And then the replay showed that he wasn't offsides. Yeah. And they were still complaining.
Yes.
Your team is losing 49-7. They're not aggrieved. You're starting Gilbert Gottfried.
Garrett Gilbert. Yeah.
What?
Overall, I thought Josh Sweat really showed up.
Josh Sweat looks good today. Yeah.
Yeah.
Going up. Was he going up against Nate Solder?
He was coming up against Matt. Nate Solder wasn't out there. He was up against Matt Peart.
Got it.
Or Peart. What's the?
Josh Sweat's up. The home is where the part is.
Sweat's up to, I believe, 6 sacks. So he needs one more to set a career high.
Ridiculously on the Pro Bowl alternate list. Like, how did that happen?
You will, on one hand, you like rip on the Pro Bowl. And then on the other hand, you are aggrieved by omissions.
No, that's continuing my ripping. It's a stupid.
No, but you put so much. You're like, You
Yeah,
always
that's
say
true.
it doesn't matter who gets in, but then it bothers you when somebody gets in.
Well, I can't. I mean, I can't pretend to be consistent in everything.
Fair.
I gotta have stuff to complain about.
Yeah. Do you?
Yeah, I'm a white male. Everything's going against me. The world wasn't built only for my advancement.
Jake Elliott missed his first field goal or extra point since October, since the Bucks game, that Thursday night game in October. Cost me in Super Forecasting, but also it was he was rolling at that point. So just something to monitor. Wouldn't put too much stock into one miss, but they're certainly going to need Jake Elliott down the stretch here. People are saying it's a bad snap. I haven't watched the game back. Was it a bad snap?
I also haven't watched the game back, so I'll take the commenter's word for it. All right, let's take our last quick break here, and then we can get into the super forecasting that you teased on the other side.
This holiday season, the best deal in wireless can only be found at Mint Mobile, or Mint Mobile in some parts of the world. Right now, when you switch to Mint Mobile and buy any 3-month plan, you'll get another 3 months for free. As the first company to sell premium wireless service online only, Mint Mobile lets you order from home and save a ton with phone plans starting at just $15 a month. Mint Mobile's best offer of the year is here. For a limited time, buy any 3-month plan and get 3 more months free. By going online only and eliminating the traditional costs of retail, Mint Mobile passes significant savings on to you. I'm talking to you. All plans come with unlimited talk and text and high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. With Mint Mobile, choose the amount of monthly data that's right for you and stop paying for data that you never use. Why would you do that? What a waste. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and keep your same phone number along with all your existing contacts. Switch to Mint Mobile and get premium wireless service starting at just $15 a month for a limited time. Buy any 3-month Mint Mobile plan and get 3 more months free by going to mintmobile.com/birds. That's mintmobile.com/birds. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/birds.
All right, back on Birds with Friends. Super Forecasting this week. The stakes were high. You and Shield tied atop the leaderboard at 5 1/3. Me, 2 games behind with 3 1/3. A solo win by either one of you would eliminate me from Super Forecasting unless, now we need to talk about this. This game goes on as long as the Eagles season goes on. So if the Eagles make it to the playoffs, those turkeys are still carrying over. The leaderboard's still going. So that being said, Shield had 5 purchases that he was watching this game. Dallas Goedert has at least 100 receiving yards. Did not happen. Not a very big game from Dallas Goedert today, Zach. He had 2 catches for 28 yards. They tried to get him the ball early and then sort of went away from him. Anything you make anything of that?
I don't. No, I want to go back and look through it to see if there was any particular attention paid on to Goddard, but I wouldn't be worried about Dallas Goedert.
He also had Devontae Smith, has at least 100 receiving yards. 5 for 80 for Devontae Smith. Good bounce-back game for him, but not over 100. He had the Eagles score on 50% or more of their possessions, excluding end-of-half kneel-downs and other obvious give-up possessions with no passes. Now, Marissa brought up there could potentially be some discussion here about the last drive of the game for the Eagles, which was 7 runs. Now, they got the ball with just under 4 minutes left. I would say that does not count as an end-of-game kneel-down. Therefore, the Eagles had 11 possessions. They scored on 5 of them. Shield does not get that one. The broadcast mentions the note about Joe Judge playing Fly, Eagles, Fly, and all that Philly stuff. Did not happen. And there is a mirror play closely following that, as I always do. Did not happen. So a shutout for Shield. Zach, Miles Sanders has at least 100 rushing yards. You only bid 3 turkeys on that bad boy, but you didn't get it. There are no missed field goals by either team. As we said, Elliott misses a field goal. You were crestfallen, I would say.
I was not crestfallen. I mean, please.
You were bereft on the turf.
No, I maintained my professionalism at all points there. There was no exasperation.
I thought I was going to have to hold you back from breaking a hole in the window and jumping out.
No one around us would even know there were implications on Swooper at that point.
I don't know about that. And you also had Jalen Rager has either a touchdown or a catch of 20 or more yards. He had a catch of 13 yards. You wanted them to get him the ball in the end zone. Unfortunately, they did not do it. But you also had, Zach, one of the most interesting swoopers we've had in a very long time. The Eagles' defense allows fewer points than there are total turkeys carried over to the next week's swooper. You played it marvelously. 12 turkeys carried over. They only scored 10 points. You mungered that bad boy, and so you were on the board with 1.
Did you Charlie Munger? Did you just make Charlie Munger a verb?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you designed an unlivable dorm, and everybody got mad about it.
So there was actually, when the Giants got possession with $1:51 to go, I think they were at their 30 or so. I thought, like, there's a chance here Joe Judge is going to kick a field goal in a game where the field goal wouldn't matter at this point, just to make the score look a little better. It was a 34-10 game. Like, does he want to make this 34-13 just in case? So there was a small part of me that was a little worried there, but the Eagles made a few stops.
And then I had Jake Fromm throws an interception. Bingo, bango, bongo. The ball travels more than 60 yards when respotted after the first or third quarter. I've been way too many turkeys on this, realizing how difficult it is to happen. 7 turkeys didn't happen. What are you laughing at?
That's why I thought it was both combined.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
But you were the one that's like, no, it's
yeah, no,
it's
yeah,
one.
because I think it was in reference to the Herbig thing. So yeah, I'll take the loss there. But I also had the Eagles win and the Vikings lose. Hit the parlay, a win for Bo, and things are really heating up in Super Storecasting. Zach, of course, has the most turkeys in hand. He's got 8 for next week. I've got 1. Shields got 3. We are getting down to the wire, and the drama, the tension is through the roof.
Well, 2 things here. First off, congratulations to Bo, a well-earned victory. Second, a little self-deprecation here when you're talking about the between quarters thing. I mean, sometimes you say things that you're just like, that was a really dumb comment, right? So I said to Bo, I said, that didn't hit for you, did it? And he's like, no, you need to be within the 20s. And I said
45,
to him,
I think.
Yeah. And I said to him, oh, but it's a mirror play. And Bo says, Zach, all the change of possession or all the change of quarters are mirror plays. And I was like,
that's what it is.
You know,
that is what it is.
Yeah. I've literally never thought about mirror plays, right? Until it was brought up on the podcast. A matter of fact, I didn't know that was a term until I was on this podcast.
It wasn't a term. We invented the term.
Yeah. So I didn't kind of put it together, and but
you were right. It's true.
True. But I was like, yeah, that's a foolish comment I made. Anyways, great job by Bo winning this week, and
I agree.
This is pretty heated here going into these final 2 weeks.
Very exciting.
Okay, so Alex asked the question, and we did discuss this pre-pod. Is this going to go into the playoffs? Granted, the Eagles make the playoffs.
Now, Sheila's going to say that I'm like making up rules here, and he doesn't want to do it. But I think it goes without saying that the game goes as long as the Eagles season goes.
But we need a tiebreaker.
Let the chat and Twitter weigh in
if it does get to that point.
I agree that it should keep going, but I could see Sheil having an issue with that, especially if he wins next week and then he takes the lead.
Yeah, probably so. Okay, Zach. Anything else we need to get into about this game?
About this game,
what do you make of the fumble by Gainwell on the opening kickoff? Mm-hmm. Rager had a couple bad punt returns, then he had a good one. Are you worried? But I don't know. Are you worried about the special teams? Did you think
No,
that I was going
I'm
to
I'm
bring
not.
that question to you at this late hour?
I thought Rager had a good return, but
He got some boos. He had that drop that very easy screen, which
yeah.
again, I think you may have been the one booing because he could have got into the end zone.
I was not booing, but that was a ripe scoring opportunity.
You were saying boo earns.
No, I think the running back injuries are something that we can't necessarily minimize because it's the top two guys on the depth chart there. So that's one thing that jumps out as a takeaway. Other than that, no, I think I want everyone to read the day after tomorrow because it seems Jason Kelsey's speech last night was pretty was something that really galvanized the team. And
Press on.
Jason Kelsey's been like publicly very emotional. You actually asked him, does he always cry? And he brought up country music songs and
anything that's a journey,
Mm-hmm.
movies and shows about a person overcoming something on a journey gets to him.
What makes you cry?
Me?
On shows or yeah.
Almost anything.
Oh really? Okay,
I'm a very easy crier.
Me too.
Oh
Me
yeah,
too.
it's ridiculous.
Okay.
Commercials make me cry.
Things that are like I've seen something many times and like it shouldn't make me cry will still make me cry.
I agree.
I think I told this story on the podcast. Like we were coming home from our honeymoon, location unknown. Well, I will not say. I cannot disclose. We were on a plane, and like when you're on a plane, it's like you can cry even easier because it's
Why?
like you're a captive audience. Like there's nowhere to go, so you're like even a little bit more immersed in the story.
Is that a thing? You've cried more on
that is a
planes?
thing. That is
Okay.
a thing that people cry more on planes.
I did not know that. Okay.
And Rachel was sleeping, and I watched the movie About Time with Rachel McAdams and what's his name? Brendan Gleeson's son, I think. Anyway.
Yeah, it is.
And the guy Bill Nye. And like I wasn't just crying, I was like just like an inconsolable mess. And it's like it was just very funny because like Rachel's just sleeping next to me and I am like just like a melting puddle. And Rachel does not really cry in movies either. She does not really cry from movies. And so like I had this memory for a long time and then eventually convinced her to watch the movie several years later. And again, I'm just totally inconsolable. And she this time is also crying. So a little bit of credit to the movie that it made both of us cry.
There you go.
I've never seen it, but I probably would cry too, so I'll add it to the list.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it like an achievement in filmmaking necessarily, but it the emotional heartstrings it pulls worked for me. What makes you cry, Zach?
Like father son
poison?
type thing. No, father son type stuff in movies, right? Like
Yes.
The Field of Dreams, Would You Ever Catch? Pursuit of Happiness, like when Will Smith and his son. Father son stuff makes me cry.
Yeah. Yeah.
That tugs a heartstring for me. So
okay, what
You
else
guys
is
are gonna make me cry now.
yeah, I mean like Michael Dunn playing sometimes makes me cry. That's made me cry before. I'm trying to think of like a very low effort thing. It's very easy. All right, what else is coming up this week, Zach?
So it's a normal week finally for the Eagles, right? They haven't had that in a few weeks here. We'll speak to Nick Sirianni on Monday, which is tomorrow. The coordinators Tuesday, players Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Everything as Bill mentioned last week is virtual for us from a talking to players perspective, but we are allowed on the practice field Thursday and Friday, so we'll see them then. And big game against Washington. Washington coming off an ugly loss here. I would say the Eagles fans monitor tomorrow night Saints-Dolphins game because that's obviously important from a postseason implications perspective. And it's also important from a draft pick perspective too. I mean, there's a chance here that all three Eagles picks are in the playoffs. right? The Dolphins, if the
That's
Dolphins win tomorrow night, then they're the front runner for the 7th seed in the AFC, which is amazing given where they were.
Yes, tomorrow night is. We talked about the balance between rooting for the pick or not. I think tomorrow night you're rooting for the Dolphins. You're rooting for the pick to get worse because if the Saints lose that game, the Eagles are in very good position to make the playoffs. And even if they don't, if the Eagles get the other 2 results next week, they're like a 98% chance to make the playoffs if they win and the Vikings lose. So looking good. Oh man, I'm glad they pulled Heineke, but I need a couple extra points from Antonio Gibson. It's not going to happen for me, Zach. I played Cam Newton over Davis Mills. Made the wrong choice.
I need 20 points out of Gesicki tomorrow, so go Dolphins.
That's something to root for. From?
Gesicki.
South Jersey.
South Jersey. That was a Zach.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Of course I know Jersey guys.
Like Bruce Springsteen, the boss.
And Bruce Springsteen is a Jersey guy. Yeah, he's more North Jersey, but from my time at the Star Ledger,
oh, they got McLeod on the field still.
I know all those North Jersey times. Yeah.
All right.
Speaking of Jersey, Friday, Bo's Wake Forest Demon Deacons in the Gator Bowl against the Fighting Rutgers Scarlet Knights. Get in because of their APR.
Crazy.
How about that?
These bowl games, though, are getting canceled left and right. Well, no,
seriously.
who knows if it will even happen?
What is this about? What is all that?
Crazy.
What is this COVID stuff? What is going on here?
New Year's Eve. We got Michigan, Georgia, New Year's Eve. Looking forward to that one.
What's your prediction?
I think Georgia, but Georgia. I mean, as good as Kirby Smart is as a coach, and he's outstanding. His quarterback decisions continue to baffle me, and it was crystallized today. Even like Jake Fromm, and Jake Fromm had a lot of success, but Jake Fromm's not the better quarterback than Justin Fields, and I don't think Stetson Bennett's the better quarterback than JT Daniels. Like I would have JT Daniels when all were healthy on the field, but far be it from me to talk about Georgia. I need to go on Seth Emerson's podcast to bring that one up.
Now, what's going on to the side of you, Zach? Because your attention has been diverted every now and then.
I have the TV on this side of me.
Is the mirror? Have you moved the mirror, and is somebody coming out from behind the mirror?
No, the TV's on the side of me. But ever in the last in the last 15, 20 minutes of the show, ever since the last ad break, the sync on my screen is not good. So I can't look at the screen here because your guys' lips are moving they're moving differently than you're speaking.
That's the worst. Oh, if you're watching something and it's like just a little bit off, you got to turn it off.
So
it's too distracting.
It's thrown me off ever since the last ad break. So I'm trying not to look directly at the screen, or there's been times when I pulled things up in front of the screen just because if I look at you guys in the eyes on this, it throws me off.
A lot of discussion in the comments tonight, Zach. I'm seeing about now. This is tied into the new clarity of this camera that you have upgraded, but the strikingness of your fierce blue eyes tonight.
That's nice of you to say, Santiago. I appreciate it. I don't know.
There's been a lot of comments
I've seen a
about
lot,
Zach's eyes being so beautiful. Yeah,
that is. I don't know
like
how to respond to
galaxies,
that.
those things. You just fall right into them.
I don't know how to respond to it, but thank you. Please.
Have you ever gotten compliments on your eyes before?
Yeah, I've once or twice. Yeah. So.
No,
I mean I don't say
once
that
or twice.
This
No big deal.
We've been going now. We've been going an hour 16 minutes. We got to get off.
Hashtag BWF.
You got to put on some Brady. You got to continue the documentary if that's your goal. All right. I guess that'll do it. I got him.
So, so my brothers were teasing me too about the Brady thing when they saw me, the next day on, and they're like, oh, you had the house yourself last night. What'd you do? And I'm like, I finally watched Man in the Arena. I've been waiting to watch it. And they're like, that's how you spent your night off, right? Watching Man in the Arena. But it was good. It was good. I recommend
it was. All right. That'll do it for this episode of Birds with Friends. The Eagles, despite an ugly start, take care of business. They win their 2 games in 5 days. They move to 8-7. They control their playoff fate. They have a chance to clinch the playoffs next week. It has been an impressive job by everybody to overachieve relative to expectations entering the season, bouncing back from a 2-5 start. They get credit. Let's see if they can finish the job here. And we will be back on Tuesday to talk about everything that is ahead for the Eagles, everything that is behind us. Shia will be here. I'm sure he's going to have some thoughts on your eyes, Zach. So
I hope not. I hope not. There's a lot more important things to discuss.
Well, now I just have to make a note to myself to remember to start the show by asking him about
please don't.
His thoughts on your
don't.
eyes. So for Sheil, for Zach, for Marissa, for Elijah, I'm Bo. We thank everybody for listening, for watching, especially those sickos of you watching live. And we'll talk to you on Tuesday. As always, we love you.